For those of you that are inside, you can watch the monitors also.
Take that one.
Are you switching to this view? Yeah.
Test one. 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 Test 1, 2, 3. Test one. Test one. Test one. Test one. Test one. Test. Test one. Test 1, 2, 3. 3, 2, 1.
The folding one.
No, I never bring. If anything, might be maybe put one, but I know I didn't. I don't. Am I?
No, no. You're gonna say that and then just give it to me and then bring.
I don't know. Why? Can you see it?
There. That's my view up there.
Right there.
Alan and Harrison going to Osaka for YBA, right? Or Alan going to
Just
YBA?
Alan.
Okay.
No. Who went to? I didn't. No, I didn't ask anything. I have you right now on YBA. Alan going to Taiko.
Alan going to tackle YBA, call it last.
Yeah. Who's that? Harrison.
No, I don't see Harrison. Okay.
I'm trying to set my.
So YBA and Taiko together, Alan going to Yeah, one time.
One more thing to say. So you don't want to say next time. Are we master? Okay, good morning. Sorry about that. We have some technical. Oh, wait, still, hang on. relatively new with our Zoom yet. I mean, we've been doing Zoom, but every session it's a learning experience. I think, is that everybody came in from the outside? Any more? Ready to go? Okay, let's start then. Good morning, everyone. Or, as I should say, maybe just morning for those of us who were up in the wee morning hours at the post-Bon Dance debrief meeting we had last night. So some of us are coming off just a few hours of sleep. But we will begin the service with the ringing of the Kansho, the calling bell. Take a moment to settle your heart and mind as we listen to the sounding of the temple bell in preparation to receive the Dharma. Please also take a moment to silence your cell phones for the duration of the service. During the service, whenever the ministers gasho, raihai, to recite the Nembutsu, please place your hands together in gasho to recite the Nembutsu together. Once again, good morning and welcome everyone to the 125th anniversary commemoration service for the Kono Honganji Buddhist Temple. A very special aloha to our officiant, Bishop Eric Matsumoto and his family, as well as to former resident minister Reverend Tatsuo Muneto and his wife Edna. Also joining us today are Reverend Daido Baba, Reverend Charlene Kihara, Reverend Masanari Yamagishi, and Reverend Nobuyuki Okamoto, whose father, Reverend Yasuo Okamoto, served here at Kono Honganji from 1935 to 1936. To our Sangha members in person and online, we are sincerely grateful for your presence today to help celebrate this milestone event. As a reminder to those of you on Zoom, please be sure to mute your mics during the entire service. Now I'd like to call on our resident minister, Reverend Blaine Higa, for a welcome address.
Aloha and welcome, everybody. As we celebrate our 125th anniversary, we reflect on the importance of building and nurturing community through living the Buddha Dharma. Like previous generations, we take refuge in the Sangha because we are nourished in body, mind, and spirit as a community of fellow travelers on the Nembutsu path. Shakyamuni Buddha taught that a true community has a good teaching at its center. Since 1897, KONA HONGWANJI has been a community grounded in the life-giving and life-transforming teaching of Amida Buddha's primal vow, which embraces unconditionally with a heart and mind of true and trusting. Each successive generation has nurtured Shinran Shonin's teaching and has ensured its light continues to shine brightly in the lives of all who seek wisdom and compassion in our often chaotic and turbulent world. Our Sangha is inspired by the spirit of the early Nembutsu followers who struggled to make a life for themselves on the rocky and fertile slopes of Mauna Loa. Their ability to thrive in a sometimes harsh environment was made possible through their unwavering confidence in the veracity of the Buddha's teaching. Living with profound gratitude, they persevered through many hardships and succeeded in building a vibrant temple community that we are responsible for cultivating today. We are their legacy as we continue to share the living Nembutsu with future generations. This is the living spirit of Jishin Kyo Ningshin, of securing our own entrusting heart to the Dharma and guiding others to the same path. Let's continue together as friends and disciples of the Buddha. A heartfelt mahalo to all the members and friends who have made this celebration possible. Your selfless dedication is a testament to the power of community. Living and working together as Sangha is a lesson in the truth of interdependence. We know this to be true. We enjoyed a Bon dance last night, the first one in 3 years. My heart is full, and I am awed by the power of community, by the power of Sangha. Over the past several years, we've been through so much together, and we're still here, and we're thriving, and we are able to celebrate our 125th anniversary this weekend with beautiful skies. Thank you to each one of you. You make this temple work. You make this temple possible. You make all of this possible. The strength of our community is found in the individuals who choose to call this temple home. Sangha is truly ohana here at KONA HONGWANJI. Congratulations and best wishes. May we always be guided by the light of all-inclusive wisdom and all-embracing compassion. Please join me in Gassho. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namanda Butsu. Namanda Butsu. Namanda Butsu. Mahalo.
Thank you, Reverend Blaine. We will begin with the chanting of the Sanbujo, or 3 respectful callings. The Sanbujo acknowledges the presence of Amida Buddha, Shakyamuni Buddha, and all the Buddhas of the universe. It symbolizes our willingness to open our hearts and minds to receive the Dharma and acknowledges the compassionate working of Amida Buddha's wisdom and compassion in our lives. The chanting of the Sanbujo will be accompanied by Sange, or the ritual scattering of petals welcoming the enlightened ones to this temple. Sanbujo can be found on page 9 of the red Jodo Shinshu service book. Please follow along and join the ministers in chanting only at the end of each verse where the word everyone is shown. Again, page 9 in the red Jodo Shinshu service book.
He's really thin on the top, yeah. Darren.
In honor of our 125th anniversary, Bishop Matsumoto will perform a special ritual called the To-Raiban and Go-Raiban ceremony. In the To-Raiban ceremony, the priest ascends the ritual platform. Please sit quietly and observe, but with a feeling of oneness or togetherness, as Bishop Matsumoto holds the handled incense burner and performs 3 kneeling bows, ascends the Raiban, anoints his robes and vestments with powdered incense, and then offers incense to Amida Buddha. Bishop Matsumoto will then ring the kei twice and offer an aspiration. He will then ring the kei once and then lead us in the chanting of the Sanbutsuge, or hymn in praise of the Buddha, followed by Nembutsu and echo. The Buddha of infinite light and life made vows to embrace all beings equally, without exception. These vows promise to create a perfect world where no suffering or evil exists, and guides us to supreme enlightenment. The Sanbutsuge is a poem from the larger Pure Land Sutra in which Amida Buddha, as a bodhisattva, praises his teacher and makes his 48 vows to establish the Pure Land of enlightenment for the welfare and happiness of all beings. We chant the words of the Buddha as a reminder of these great vows made to awaken all beings. The Sanbutsuge is found on page 47 of the Red Service Book. Again, page 47 of the Red Service Book.
Amida Buddha, Buddha of immeasurable life and infinite light. As we gather for KONA HONGWANJI Mission's 125th anniversary, may your light of wisdom and compassion shine ever more brightly throughout the 10 quarters of the universe, so all may know that this temple, the third oldest Shin Buddhist temple in Hawaii, founded in 1897, is celebrating its 125th anniversary. On this auspicious occasion, we express our joy in being able to gather safely in peace and harmony, and express our appreciation to our predecessors who sacrificed so much to establish the KONA HONGWANJI Buddhist Temple, where we could hear about the compassionate call of Namo Amida Butsu, the Buddha's name that calls to entrust. In grateful response to your great compassion, which accepts us just as we are, we aspire to continually share our joy of the Nembutsu teachings with the hope that future generations will also embrace these precious teachings, and that it will continue to guide, nurture, inspire, and embrace the people of Kona, Hawaii, and even beyond. Today, from the depths of our hearts and minds, we recall and feel deeply the exhortation of Shakyamuni Buddha to his disciples, quote, "Go forth for the good of the many, for the happiness of the many, out of compassion for the world, for the welfare, the good, and the happiness of gods and people," end quote. Let us also keep in mind our purpose as found in our Jodo Shinshu denominational constitution, quote, "The organization transmits the wisdom and compassion of Amida Tathagata to all people, and in doing so contributes to the realization of a society in which everyone, both within and outside of the organization, is able to live a life of spiritual fulfillment," end quote. And our own Ampa Honganji Mission of Hawaii mission statement, quote, "To share the living teachings of Jodo Shinshu Buddhism, so all beings may enjoy lives of harmony, peace, and gratitude," end quote. Responding in gratitude, we aspire. In concluding this aspiration dedication, we, the members, friends, and supporters of KONA HONGWANJI, both clergy and lay, in joyous awareness, recite Namo Amida Butsu, the Buddha's name, which I call in gratitude, in response to Namo Amida Butsu, the Buddha's name, which calls me to entrust. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namanda Butsu, Namanda Butsu, Namanda Butsu, Namanda Butsu. Entrusting in all-inclusive wisdom and all-embracing compassion. Namanda Butsu, Namanda. Ogengi ijingu no kunyoze emyo uyo tosha ichigatsu mani shuko enyo kaishitsu onpe yunyaku jumoku nyorai yogen chose murin shogaku daiyon konru jippo kaimon shojin sammai chi 徳無量修正慶右人体前年小仏崩壊無人人の空語外体無明欲ぬ世尊読む人の死死人徳無量空間広大知恵人妙光明一層神道大戦願が差仏在所法を可動生じ未不下脱不正上位戒人精進如是三昧知恵以上公正特物不行志願一切空空一切大安決し無物百千億万無量大小春陽五者空陽一切死と小物不尿具道検証不逆非尿五者小物世界不可け無種節道光明師匠変死小国如是精進偉人難量量が差仏国土第一五種奇妙道場超絶国如内容任務闘争加藤愛民道夏一切実法来生心熱症状意図が国見楽安穏好物珍妙善が心象本願の日力少々欲実法世尊知恵無下上領子孫知が信行権量心死食毒中画行精進人数不敬 Nishikudoku Ryodose Dohoten Moda Ishin Ozjo Angrako.
In the Go-Raiban ceremony, the priest descends from the ritual platform. Bishop will offer incense, return the ritual implements, descend from the Raiban, and perform one kneeling bow. We will now have the offering of incense by representatives of various organizations. KONA HONGWANJI Kyodan, President Linda Nagai. Minister, Reverend Tatsuo Moneto and Mrs. Edna Moneto. Celebration Committee Chairperson Claudia Chang. Buddhist Women's Association Susan Takeue. Shinwa Kai, Norman Takeoka. Dharma School, Makiko Yamaguchi. Preschool, Sharon Young. Judo Club, Jean Nakashima. Boy Scouts, Joseph Guzman. Cub Scouts, Glenn Hirowatari. Junior YBA and Taiko Group, Alan Matsumoto. If you are able to, please rise for the Gatha Shinshu Anthem. Words are on the handouts. Please be seated. Celebrating a wonderful event like today's 125th anniversary calls for a very special guest speaker, a Kona boy, one that is known and beloved by everyone. It is with great honor that I introduce to you Alan Matsumoto. Nah, just kidding. I always wanted to do that. He's always the second son, right? It is with great honor that I introduce to you Bishop Eric Matsumoto. We at KONA HONGWANJI join his late father, Glenn Matsumoto, his mother, Anne Matsumoto, and his brother, Alan, in proudly proclaiming that Bishop Matsumoto was born and raised right here in Kona. Strongly influenced by his religious grandmother, he spent a great deal of his youth attending services at this very temple and being a very active member of the Junior YBA organization. Bishop Matsumoto attended Honanao Elementary School and graduated from Konawana High School in 1977. He served as senior class president and was a member of the National Honor Society and both high school concert band and Huli He'e Palace Band. He obtained his bachelor's degree from the University of Hawaii at Hilo in 1983, where he majored in history and liberal studies and excelled in the study of Japanese language and culture. In 1988, he received his Tokudo ordination. In 1991, Bishop Matsumoto graduated from Ryukoku University Graduate School in Kyoto, Japan, with a master's degree in Shin Buddhist studies. He also received Kyoshi that year. During this time in Japan, Bishop Matsumoto was the recipient of several distinguished awards as well as numerous scholarships from the Japan Foundation, University of Hawaii Foundation, and most notably, the Crown Prince Akihito Scholarship with Imperial Audience with Their Majesties, the Crown Prince and Princess in Tokyo, Japan in 1984-85. Bishop Matsumoto was also honored as an outstanding alumni by the University of Hawaii at Hilo in 2013. Bishop Matsumoto's extensive ministerial career thus far is as follows. Associate Minister at Honpa Honganji, Hawaii Betsuin for 2 years. 8 years on the Big Island as Minister of Honoka'a, Kamuela, Kohala, and Pauilo Honganji Buddhist temples. Resident Minister at Mo'iliili Honganji Buddhist Temple in Honolulu for another 9 years. On March 1st, 2011, he assumed the office of Bishop as the 16th Bishop of Honpa Honganji Mission of Hawaii. Currently, since March 1st, 2019, he is serving his 3rd term as Bishop. Within the Honpa Honganji Mission of Hawaii and Jodo Shinshu Honganji denominations, Bishop Matsumoto has held or is currently serving in numerous ministerial leadership positions on advisory boards, councils, committees, and associations. He is also extensively involved in community and interfaith organizations and events, particularly those functions and programs connected with peace, harmony, goodwill, and the overall betterment of society and our global community. Bishop Matsumoto is frequently invited to attend and or to conduct invocations and benedictions at numerous special events involving dignitaries. Bishop Matsumoto's Buddhist name is Shaku Horaku, meaning disciple of Shakyamuni Buddha, Dharma pleasure. He is married to wife Tamayo and has 2 children, daughter Chika and son Kaden. Please give a warm welcome aloha to Bishop Matsumoto as well as to Tamayo and Kaden who are here today.
Aloha kako. Aloha kako with a bow has become my favorite greeting. I'm sure we're all familiar with aloha and its deep significance. However, did you know that by adding a word, kako, it takes aloha to another whole new level? At first, by just adding a word may not seem like much, but upon closer reflection and if taken seriously, it can make a world of a difference. And that is what I'm sure we'll all agree is what our world today needs more of. More inclusiveness and less dichotomy. Aloha kako has the meaning of aloha to all of us. Kako has the meaning of all, we or us, and is used in a group of 3 or more people. It includes even the person who is saying aloha. It's no longer aloha from me to you, but again, aloha to all of us. More than ever, this feeling of connectedness, togetherness, and oneness is so important as we witness the suffering, the dissension, and the division that our world is facing. In addition, needless to say, there is the importance of being mutually respectful and appreciative of each other. And this is beautifully expressed by the gesture of Anjali or Gassho with a bow. Anjali or Gassho, especially in a religious context, expresses our deepest and highest reverence as when we Gassho to the Buddha, However, from the perspective of the Buddhas and great bodhisattvas, they see in all of us, you and me, a potential to become enlightened, or Buddhas too. Here to me, there is an unparalleled world of equality, which is wisdom at its pinnacle. Further connected to it is an unconditional, unqualified compassion, which includes everyone and everything in its embrace. And in the case of Amida Buddha, including this foolish being, Eric. This compassion is compassion at its ultimate, which doesn't distance itself from anything or anyone and reaches out to especially the one that is most distant from enlightenment. We are all in this process, which will not end until one and all attain supreme nirvana. Truly all-inclusive and all-embracing. This is what we have had the good fortune of encountering and experiencing. A great wisdom and compassion beyond ordinary comprehension, and that which is unending in its quest to bring peace and happiness to all existence, literally all existence. Oh, the joy of being embraced. Namaste. Today, as I join you, the Sangha and friends of KONA HONGWANJI, on the occasion of this 125th anniversary, a passage from a Chinese Pure Land master, Tao Chou, quoted by Shinran Shonin at the very conclusion of his major writing, The True Teaching, Practice, and Realization of the Pure Land Way, comes to my mind. Quote, I have collected true words to aid others in their practice for attaining birth in the Pure Land, in order that the process be made continuous, without end and without interruption, by which those who have been born first guide those who come later, and those who are born later join those who were born before. This is so that the boundless ocean of birth and death is exhausted, end quote. For me, this passage today I feel is especially pertinent to the Sangha of KONA HONGWANJI. Reflecting on KONA's history, what stands out in my mind is the legacy of the devout people of Nembutsu, captured in the book Dharma Treasures, Spiritual Insights from Hawaii's Shin Buddhist Pioneers by Reverend Muneto, including the exemplary people that KONA has produced, like Judge Masaji Marumoto and Colonel Ellison Onizuka, to name just two. In his book, Dharma Treasures, of which, by the way, I did bring some copies, so if you'd like to purchase one, we have some available. Reverend Muneto captured the inspiring lives of several KONA residents who had experienced deeply the wondrous workings of Amida Buddha's compassion, which transformed their lives. Some are in the time-honored tradition of the Myokonin, or the wondrous, excellent person of our Jodo Shinshu tradition. A Myokonin is a devout follower of Jodo Shinshu who lives a life of total dedication to Amida Buddha, and whose acts and sayings, though they often counter to common sense sometimes, reveal the depth of faith and true humanness. They have an utterly deep understanding of Shin Buddhism. Reverend Muneto, if I may quote him from his book, says, when the conscious effort of a Nembutsu practitioner to grasp Shinjin faith is dropped by appreciating the work of true compassion, the person begins to walk on the path of unobstructed freedom. Encountering various problems such as uncertainties in economic conditions or illness and death, the person of Nembutsu becomes aware of anger, greed, and ignorance arising from within. But realizing the true nature of compassion enfolds such a person, no longer will there be confusion or uncertainty. The moment of realizing the defiled self is simultaneously the moment of entrusting the self to true compassion in thoughts, words, and deeds, end quote. It is said that the world-famous D.T. Suzuki, who came to Hawaii in 1949, visited Kona Honganji. He was shown the writings of Chiyono Sasaki. He exclaimed, "This is it. This is the life of a Myokonin." Her poem, "As I Am," or Konomama, was quoted by Dr. Suzuki in one of his books. However, there were others too who had a deep understanding, such as, quote, "Joyful brightness, having entrusted everything to Amida, I'm saved just as I am," by Jutaro Oshima. And Kiku Kato's poem, "From far beyond comes the bright glow, illuminating clearly the path of Dharma I walk." And Iwaichi Nakamura, who said, quote, "In the timeless process of birth and death, for the first time, I was made to realize the other power of Amida Buddha. My understanding resulted from listening, but listening is nothing but a little scratch on a precious gem. I trusted my understanding instead of trusting Amida. Until now, I was satisfied with my understanding, but my understanding does not save me. It is Amida who saves me," end quote. I hope you were able to catch the nuance of his words. Again, he said, quote, "But my understanding doesn't save me. It is Amida who saves me," end quote. Remarkable, isn't it? A final poem that I'd like to share from Reverend Moneto's book today is a partial quote of a poem by Ume Hirano entitled "Parental Love." She writes, "In the heart of parents, as immense as this universe, nothing is more cherished than a child. Due to the devotion of parents, the child may become successful and honored like a blossoming flower. And yet, if the grave matter of the afterlife is neglected, the consequence will be indescribable, painful separation. If you truly love your child, teach him or her well about the teaching of the Buddha, attaining birth in the pure land of peace. That is the compassion of parents that forever remains. Thinking about the joy of parents and children, holding their hands again in the pure land with flowers abundant, let us say the Nembutsu in gratitude. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu," end quote, she wrote. A person who succeeded in guiding his son to Buddhism was Tamajiro Marumoto, a name that may sound familiar to some of you, who moved to Kona in 1907. Some of you may have heard of the Marumoto store and the Kona Theater, which is associated with them. Tamajiro's son, Masaji, after finishing 6th grade here in Kona, moved back to Honolulu to finish high school and eventually would move on to become one of Hawaii's most noted individuals as Judge Masaji Marumoto, a graduate of Harvard Law School and a judge on the Hawaii Supreme Court. He was the first of so many accomplishments, and he considered himself a Buddhist. He's also credited with coming up with a plan that reorganized the Honpa Honganji Mission of Hawaii in the mid-1940s. However, another connection the Matsumoto family has with Kona is Kona Honganji. And now I'd like to address or speak of the other legacy of Kona Honganji, which is the physical manifestation of the deep spirituality of the Kona Sangha, and that is the precious and unique Hawaiian sandalwood image of Amida Buddha that stands before us in the altar. The current image was dedicated in 1933 and has been the object of reverence since then. But did you know that there is an older brother of this Amida Buddha? Apparently, what happened was the original block of Hawaiian sandalwood cut from the hills of Kona, sent to Japan to be carved into the Buddha image, at some point developed a crack, as often happens with wood. Thus, another piece of sandalwood was sent to Japan, and that is the current image that stands before us. During Reverend Muneto's tenure here in the 1980s, an inscription was discovered in the back wall of this altar. The inscription notes that Tamajiro Matsumoto was president of this temple around 1930. Thanks to Reverend Muneto, who did a lot of research, so many of these matters were discovered. He fortunately also kept in touch with the Matsumoto family. The Matsumoto family had been protecting the original sandalwood Buddha image for close to 90 years. A few years ago, the daughter of Masaji Matsumoto, Claire, contacted Reverend Muneto with a concern that the family might not be able to adequately care for the image as they had up until now. Thus, the Matsumoto family donated the Buddha image to Honpa Honganji Mission of Hawaii headquarters. I, together with Reverend Muneto, were honored to be able to receive the image of the Buddha that had its roots here in Kona. The attempted repair of the crack in the image was very prominent, and to me it kind of took away, distracted from the overall beauty of the statue, and thus I decided to have the temporary filling removed. But unfortunately, because of the pandemic with travel restrictions, the statue is still in Japan. I'd hoped to be able to bring it here today so all of you could see it, but that will have to wait for another day. Of course, among the other treasures of Kona Honganji is the Buddhist flag that Ellison Onizuka took into space. He too valued the Buddha Dharma and shared his Dharma-enriched life with others, especially the children and young people of Hawaii, as I'm sure many of you remember. He gave us hope, encouragement, and inspiration. Today, I am remembering one of his quotes: "Every generation has the obligation to free men's minds for a look at new worlds, to look out from a higher plateau than the last generation. Your vision is not limited by what your eye can see, but what your mind can imagine. Your education, imagination will carry you to places which we won't believe possible. Make your life count, and the world will be a better place because you tried." Indeed, we are so fortunate because so many people from Kona tried. And because they tried, the world became a better place. In this way, Kona Honganji has wonderful legacies which cannot be forgotten and need to be transmitted to future generations, not only for the benefit of this temple, but for all Buddhists in general, but even more, the entire community and maybe even humankind. This temple is the physical manifestation of those legacies, but the true home of the legacies is in our hearts and minds and how we all live our lives. My sincere wish and hope is that this 125th anniversary will be the precious goeng or opportunity at which the KONA HONGWANJI Sangha, with renewed dedication, will make a commitment to continue without interruption, gratefully listening to the Buddha Dharma and joyously sharing the Dharma with others. Please live the Dharma by taking to heart the words of our present Gobunsho, His Eminence Kojin Otani, whose calligraphy piece is also in this temple, in which he says, secure our own entrusting heart to the Dharma, guiding others to the same path. As we cope with the various problems and hardships of the contemporary world, walking together towards realizing a society in which everyone is equally respected, which, as many of us know, is based on the saying of another Pure Land Chinese master, Shan Tao, who said, quote, extremely difficult it is to encounter an age in which a Buddha appears, and difficult indeed for a person to realize the wisdom of Shinjin in Tao true entrusting. To come to hear the Dharma rarely met with is again, among all things, most difficult. To realize Shinjin and Tao true entrusting oneself and to guide others to it is among difficult things, yet even more difficult. To awaken beings everywhere to great compassion is truly to respond in gratitude to the Buddha's benevolence. At this time, I'd like to gratefully thank Reverend Muneto for much of what I have shared today, and also on a personal note, for helping me in especially my early years of searching for the Buddha Dharma too. To conclude, as I offer my congratulations and also express my gratitude to you, the KONA Sangha, not only as the bishop, but as a fellow person of Nembutsu that was also nurtured by you and Amida Buddha, let us continue to, as Shinran Shonin said, quote, praise Amida Buddha's wisdom and virtue, so that beings with mature conditions throughout the 10 quarters may hear. Let those who have realized Shinjin constantly respond in gratitude to the Buddha's benevolence. If you would please join me, I'd like to, together with all of you, recite the Buddha's honored name that I recite in gratitude to Namo Amida Butsu, the Buddha's name which calls us to entrust. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namanda Butsu, Namanda Butsu, Namanda Butsu. Entrusting in all-inclusive wisdom and all-embracing compassion. Namanda.
Thank you for your Dharma message, Bishop Matsumoto. Reverend Blaine will now read a selection from the Gobunsho. The Gobunsho are a collection of letters written by Renyo Shonin, the 8th spiritual leader of the Honganji over 500 years ago. These letters summarize and clarify the essence of Shinran's teachings. Reverend Blaine will read the Gobunsho Matsudai Muchi no Sho, or those lacking wisdom in the latter age, in the traditional Japanese and in English. Please bow your heads for the reading of the Gobunsho and recite the Nembutsu together at the end of the reading.
三大無知の在家始終の難よたらん友柄は心一つにして阿弥陀仏と深く頼み参らせてさらに世の方へ心を振らず一心一向にぶ助けたまえと申さん主上場たとえ在後は人獣なりとも必ず皆如来は救いましますべし。これすなわち第18の念仏の上の誓願の心なり。核のごとく献上しての上には寝ても覚めても命のあらん限りは称名念仏すべきものなり。あなかしこ、あなかしこ。Laymen and laywomen in the latter age who lack wisdom should deeply rely on Amida Buddha with singleness of heart, entrusting themselves to the Buddha single-mindedly and unwaveringly for their emancipation, without turning their thoughts to other matters. However deep and heavy their evil karma may be, Amida Tathagata unfailingly saves them. This is the essence of the 18th vow that assures our birth in the Pure Land through the Nembutsu. Once our heart is thus settled, we should say the Nembutsu whether awake or sleep for as long as we live, humbly and respectfully. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namanda Butsu, Namanda Butsu, Namanda Butsu, Namanda Butsu.
If you are able to, please rise for the Gatha Ondokusan, Gratefulness. Words are on the handouts. Please be seated. Claudia Chang, Chairperson of the 125th Anniversary Committee, will now deliver a congratulatory message.
Aloha, everyone. On behalf of the 125th Anniversary Celebration Committee, I welcome and thank you for joining us today to celebrate this very momentous event. 125 years ago, Reverend Sato and the founders and first members of our congregation couldn't imagine that the church would survive a war that was initiated by its home country, that the members of the congregation would be interned by their adopted country, or that the future generations would be instrumental in the success of our world-renowned Kona coffee. With the support of the Kona community, KONA HONGWANJI was able to survive the adversities and challenges it faced, as well as enjoy the successes of its members and the business community. Today, we are still faced with challenges, but we are fortunate to have dedicated, generous members and the support of the Kona business community. We thank everyone who shared in our goals to celebrate this 125th anniversary. Today, we are living in a very uncertain world. We had COVID, talks of nuclear weapons, and here in Kona, earthquakes. But like the past, we will overcome these challenges and continue to grow and support our Kona community. And likewise, the community will continue to support us. After the conclusion of today's celebration, we still have a couple of events to culminate our 125th anniversary, including the time capsule, which will be buried for 50 years. So imagine the people in 2072, when it's time to celebrate the 175th anniversary, opening this time capsule to see what Kona and the world was like in 2022. So remember people like Alyssa, Aubrey, Kira, 50 years from now, there's gonna be a time capsule someplace in this church that you folks get to open up and remember what Kona was like in 2022. The other project that we're gonna be finishing up is our donor plaque, which is gonna be displayed in the temple. And we are finalizing our donor list, and we thank everyone who generously donated to this celebration. We've succeeded our initial goal, and we're able to not only celebrate the event, but we're also able to upgrade our temple. So I hope you folks are enjoying sitting on our new cushions, enjoy our new beautiful carpet, as well as some of our new ultra shiny ornaments. And we're also able to add some additional security cameras on the temple to keep the temple safe. I'd like to say thank you to Auntie Mary Katayama for being so relentless in trying to find a chairperson for the event so she could retire from the board and allowing me this opportunity to be part of this celebration. Thank you to the hardworking committee, chairs, and the committee members and everyone involved in making this celebration possible. Enjoy the rest of the day and enjoy the rest of our celebrations. Mahalo.
Thank you, Claudia. Claudia has led this epic journey that we were doing for so long. So thank you, Claudia, for all of your hard work. Let's see, where are we? A message of appreciation by Linda Nagai, KONA HONGWANJI Kyodan President.
Good morning and aloha. The day has finally arrived. Our 125th anniversary committee members worked diligently over a year putting this celebration together. Lots of ups, downs, and sometimes it was backbreaking. However, all in all, I will say we all had a great time working on this project. Our success would not have been possible without the generosity of our Sangha members. As they say, it takes a village. Well, it was the KONA HONGWANJI village, which included our community that made it possible for KONA HONGWANJI to share the Nembutsu teachings for 125 years here in Kona. I want to say okage-sama de to our ancestors, our grandparents, and great-grandparents who persevered through difficult times, even war, some even being taken to internment camps, and yet able to preserve the Nembutsu teaching and the temple here in Kona. And now you are following in their footsteps to continue preservation for the next generation. As you can see, as Claudia mentioned, we have replaced our pew cushions. They don't squeak anymore and they don't fly up. You know. Carpets, chairs, Reverend Blaine Bishop sitting on our brand new chairs. And our ornaments or adornments in the Naijing, in the altar. We have also added 2 scrolls in our Naijing. Both scrolls are important to Jodo Shinshu because they represent our Jodo Shinshu teachings. For Shinran, the teachings of Shakyamuni Buddha and the 7 masters are a manifestation of Amida's compassionate vow, for they're all left writings on the Nembutsu teaching, which is the scroll on your left. The scroll on your right is the scroll of Prince Shotoku, whom Shinran revered as a bodhisattva and a manifestation of Amida because of everything he did to establish Buddhism in Japan and create a harmonious society. So you can see that on that side. And finally, for the safety of our children and Sangha community, as Claudia mentioned, we have upgraded our security system. So whenever you're around the temple, you're on candid camera. And we're all watching. Yeah, you can watch. All of this could not have been possible without your generous support. Our legacy to future generation resides not only in this beautiful temple, but most importantly in the hearts and minds of all who seek refuge in this community that embodies the Buddha's teachings. With gratefulness in my heart, I put my palms together and humbly thank you for all you have done in our temple. And now I come before you to ask for your continued support of KONA HONGWANJI as we continue to walk the path of Nembutsu together. Thank you. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo.
Thank you, Linda. If you are able to, please rise for unison reading of our pledge, which can be found on the handouts. Please join me in reading the words out loud. Reaching out to others, I will share a smile and gentle words, just like the Buddha who always calls out with aloha. Breaking away from my greed, anger, and ignorance, I will try to live in peace and harmony, just like the Buddha who shares tranquility and kindness with all. Moving forward from self-centeredness, I will share a life of joy and sorrow with others, just like the Buddha whose caring heart always embraces us. Realizing that I live because of others, I will strive to live life to the fullest with an attitude of gratitude, just like the Buddha who promises to embrace us all. Namo Amida Butsu. Please remain standing for the Gatha Nembutsu. Please be seated. At this time, I'd like to call on Kyodan President Linda Nagai, Bishop Matsumoto, and Reverend Blaine to do a special presentation.
I know it's been long, but we want to do this one thing. Well, Reverend Blaine and I were very fortunate to have met these people and who have now become part of our Sangha also. And they become very dear to us. They are renting one of our properties, and recently we almost lost our property due to fire. But because of some heroic, I say heroic, efforts, it was saved. And this is the Hololo Honganji temple. It's the theater next door burned. And it's, I grew up, I wasn't born in Hololoa, but I played, and Susan knows, we all went to Sunday school, Dharma school there. We had family funerals there, and it was just like this, but it was Hololo, and it was, I went back there, I think about 3-4 months ago with Reverend Blaine to talk about, someone wanted to talk about the property, and I walked in, and the Hondo looks exactly as I left it in 1964 when I left Hawaii. And the Naijing is preserved. It's actually, it's older, but it's beautiful, not as shiny as this, because, but we're going to bring it back. But these people, they're renters, and they have taken care of our Hololoa temple. And I would like to recognize Mimi Bergstrom and Jules Dudua for gratitude. Thank you so much for everything you have done. And Bishop, you have say something.
This morning, I'd like to share a story. As I was informed of what did happen at the Hololoa temple, or in that vicinity, the town of Hololoa, it reminded me of a story of one of our myokonin. His name was Shichisaburo, and for those of you who know the, I guess, the old geography terms, he was living in a place called Mikawa, which today I believe is present-day Aichi Prefecture, in a place called Toyota. But he was, again, a myokonin, or one of our wondrous, excellent persons of Nembutsu. And there's an episode from his life, which, as I heard of what happened, kind of, came back, I remember it. And so I'd like to kind of share that story, again, from the life of Shichiburo with you today. As at one time, the temple, which was about 200 miles away, actually, from where Shichiburo lived, was said to be on fire. He, upon hearing the news, immediately took out a large blanket-like object, soaked it in water, and shook it in the direction of the main temple in Kyoto. His thought, the fire must be put out at once. Without any hesitation or deliberation, Shichisaburo's action was to go out and shake that wet blanket in the direction of the fire. The renowned D.T. Suzuki comments about Shichisaburo's actions, and in particular in this case of this story, by saying that a small fire might be doused by using a blanket to smother the flames, but a mere wet blanket would not be able to put out such a large fire and at such a distance. But D.T. Suzuki continues with praise by saying, quote, "Their thought is touched by sincerity. This act makes us ponder more deeply, and a certain genuineness of heart expresses itself," were D.T. Suzuki's comments. In a similar manner today, the actions of Jules and Mimi made me ponder and reflect, and also brought forth gratitude in my heart to them because of their actions. The Hololo Temple, I think we can say, still safely stands in Hololo. Thank you.
Jules, Mimi, can you come forward?
Mahalo, Jules and Mimi. I still vividly remember that morning, the text message they were sending, and you can't imagine the pictures they were showing of the fire next door, literally next door. I believe 12 feet is the difference between the Hololo Theater and the Hongwanji property grounds. And Jules and Mimi were out there. We were wondering, they're late for service. So, and then the next thing we get all these texts. So thank you very much. We'd also like to thank the following for their roles in this service: Bishop Matsumoto for being the officiant, and to his family for joining us. Reverend and Mrs. Moneto, and all the other reverends for their attendance. All of the Chigo participants and their families. I know it must have been a long day for those young ones. Organist Corinne Chang, members of the Zoom crew back there, the BWA for doing the omigaki, Joni Fujino for making these special floral altar arrangements, Makiko Yamaguchi for preparing the obupan, and Morris Nagata for providing the fruits and flowers. And I think Mrs. Nakasone also brought some fruits this morning. Thank you. Mahalo also to all the volunteers who help set up the temple and man the check-in table, and also a heartfelt arigato to the Sangha for your attendance. We are deeply grateful to all of you for helping to make this 125th anniversary commemoration service a truly memorable one. Here are a few announcements. There will be an affirmation rites or Keishiki service at 2 p.m. today. All participants and interested parties, please report to the temple before 2 p.m. There will be no Sunday service next Sunday, October 23rd. Please join us for our annual Pet Appreciation Service on Sunday, October 30th at 10 a.m. The service will be held outside in the area fronting the hall, and you are welcome to bring your well-behaved pets as long as they're leashed or in a carrier. You may also bring pictures and urns of pets who are no longer here, but have left fond memories and paw prints in your hearts. There are several exciting Nembutsu seminars scheduled for this month. Please open Reverend Blaine's emails for flyers attached, which include descriptions, registration information, and Zoom links. Last but not least, you're probably ready for lunch, as I am. I'm very hungry. And the lucky number drawings, Claudia and the committee got some really, really good prizes, so you don't want to miss out, trust me. But before we head to the hall, there are two things we need to do. First, Blaine will do words of thanksgiving, but when that is done, a commemorative group photo of everyone who is here will be taken. Apparently it's going to be inside here, and at that time, after Reverend Blaine does the blessing, I'll turn it over to Terry, the photographer, to tell us where we have to align so that we all can fit.
Please join me in Gassho. We gather as friends of KONA HONGWANJI Buddhist Temple, and we are profoundly grateful for the many hearts and hands that have made this 125th anniversary celebration possible. As we enjoy this time of fellowship, let us be mindful of our indebtedness to the plants and animals which sustain our lives. May this food nourish us in body, mind, and spirit, and remind us that we exist because of countless causes and conditions. We are truly grateful for this wonderful food, a gift of life. May we share its benefits with all beings. As we partake of this food, let us remember Amida Buddha's compassion, which surrounds all people and all forms of life. For all these gifts, we recite the Buddha's honored name in gratitude, joy, and awareness, entrusting in the dynamic working of all-inclusive wisdom and all-embracing compassion. Namo Amida Butsu. We humbly and respectfully receive this food. Itadakimasu.
So I'll turn it over to Terry, and then he'll group us up.